Hi, my name is Pat, and this is my channel, Book Chat with Pat, and I'm glad that you're here. Today is Saturday, June 22nd, and this is my weekly wrap-up. I had planned to post this video much earlier today. We've been without power all day here in the middle of an ungodly heat wave, and the power actually just came on within the last hour. So I'm a little bit late about everything today. But I'm going to talk about my progress on various reading events that I'm participating in. And many of the things that I'm talking about in this little wrap-up, I'll be talking about in greater depth in individual videos. So, as you know, I've been engaged in my reread of James Joyce's Ulysses, which I'm reading with a read-along that's taking place through June and July. And this is being hosted by Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics and Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads. We have finished the first 12 chapters of this novel. We had a live meeting last Saturday, and about 6 of us, I think, from the Discord were able to get together and talk about our first impressions of the novel, and we had a wonderful discussion. And Greg has, I believe, posted that, the live discussion on his channel, and it's available for any of you who might be tempted. It's not too late to join us. Additionally, this week I read another book in my participation in the Read 24 in 2024 Banned Book Challenge. This was not a book I had originally planned. It wasn't on my TBR for this challenge, but I just had read so many things about this that I thought, I have to buy this book. I have to read this book. This is a middle grade novel by Gratz. Ban this book. And I did a separate video on this that posted yesterday, and I'll put a link to that in my notes here. But this book has just recently, this book about book banning has been banned in a county in Florida. And I had just read so many things about this that I felt compelled to support Gratz, to buy his novel, and to read it and to talk about it here on this channel. Additionally, I've been participating in June on the Range, which is hosted by Michael K. Vaughn and a whole posse of other people that I will list in the notes. And the only requirements for participation in June on the Range are to read a Zane Grey novel and to read a Louis L'Amour novel. Well, I think last week I talked about the Zane Grey novel that I had read. I tried to read this Louis L'Amour novel, The Rustlers of West Fork. Now, I know nothing about Louis L'Amour, so I just went looking for a book to read that he had written, and I thought, start at the beginning of a series. And this was described as being the first of 4 classic frontier novels featuring the character Hopalong Cassidy. So I thought that seemed like a good place to start. And then the book was just awful. It was just terrible to read. And I kept thinking, how can this be? Everybody speaks so highly of Louis L'Amour. And I went and did a little research on this book, and I found out that this is a novel that he actually denied having written. So I don't know if he was just embarrassed by it or what, but he claimed that he didn't actually write this novel. So then I didn't feel so bad about kind of tossing it aside. I may still, June is coming to an end. I don't know if I'm going to get to a Louis L'Amour novel in the upcoming week. I have a lot on my docket that I need to take care of. But I did want to complete my participation in that event. Just not sure that it's going to happen. I have talked about in other videos that I am reading for Pride Month. I'm reading a biography by Hilary Holladay of the poet Adrienne Rich, and this book is called The Power of Adrienne Rich. She has long been one of my favorite poets. I have followed her since I was in my early 20s, reading her poetry and her prose. I just was delighted to find this biography, and I'm doing a deep dive into her poetry for a Poetry Thursday video that's coming in the future, and I will supplement that with some material from this wonderful biography of a really, really complex feminist, activist, and poet. So more to come about that, but I am loving this biography. It's a really wonderful biography. Additionally, I am, as I said last week, I'm participating in Book Trek 2024, which is a Star Trek reading event that takes place throughout the months of June, July, and August. And I mentioned last week that I was reading all things from the original series, which is a series that I actually remember watching when it was a new show in the 60s. Last week I had talked about two novels that I read by Vonda McIntyre, who was an established science fiction writer in her own right when she came to writing Star Trek novels. And I had talked about last week the Entropy effect, and also the novelization of the movie The Wrath of Khan, which she also wrote. And I just love these so much that I went looking for other things that she has written, other Star Trek novels that she has written, and turns out that she did several of the movie novelizations. She did The Wrath of Khan. She also did Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. And she did some other standalone novels as well. So I'm continuing with my reading of Vonda McIntyre's version of Star Trek. And then since I will have read movie 2, movie 3, I thought I really should go back and read the novelization from the first movie, which, according to this copy, it says this novelization was written by Gene Roddenberry. I always thought that Alan Dean Foster wrote the first novelization, so maybe somebody who knows a lot more about Star Trek can help me out with that. But this definitely says that the author of the first novelization is Gene Roddenberry. So I'm going to be doing another Star Trek video a little bit later on this week, where I'll be talking about the newest books that I've been reading. And then in the area of poetry, I've been reading the poetry of W.S. Merwin for my work on a Poetry Thursday video that's coming up. And this week I finished his collection, Garden Time. I have several collections of his poetry that I'll be using for the Poetry Thursday episode that's coming up, but this was the one that I completed this week. And then also this week I did sort of a special little Poetry Thursday episode, and that was on the poetry of cats, and that was sort of in response to a request from my friend Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads, who said he wanted to read or hear poems about cats. And I found so many poems about cats that I couldn't fit them all in one video. So I did one installment on poetry about cats, and I have plenty more cat poetry for another installment, which will be coming in the future. And I've had some requests for poetry about dogs as well, so that will be coming up in the future also. So that's going to be my very, very brief weekly wrap up, and I need to get to cooler part of the house right now. So, as always, I thank you for watching. I hope that you're doing well. I'll speak with you again soon. Take care.